Hey guys, welcome back again to Tech and Talk. Today we are going to learn very useful and must to know topic in SQL. If you are curious to know aggregate function, just before starting it, requesting you to hit the subscribe button. Your support is much appreciated and keep these videos coming. I know your time is precious and making this video takes a bunch of effort. So are you ready to learn about aggregate function? Alright, let's get started. Let's start with the basics. So in plain English, what does aggregate mean? In simple term, it's like collecting or gathering things into the mass. Now let's see why this concept is a big deal in the world of database. It is used to summarize large set of data into something meaningful. Also, instead of checking each row one by one, aggregate function give us a quick peek into the overall characteristics of our data. So guys, trust me, it is making our life very easy in the database system. And let's keep it simple, jump into the how these function work. So guys, we have five types of aggregate function available in SQL. So count is used to count the number of rows in the result set. When I am saying result set, it means in a table. And also it is used to number of non-null values in a column. Sum is used to calculate the sum of numeric values in a column. Average, as per the name, it computes the average of numeric values in a column. Minimum, it retrieves the minimum value from column. Maximum retrieves the maximum value from column. So guys, here we can see the real-time uses of this aggregate function. An aggregate function is a meaningful in the data analysis as well as in the statistical calculation, because we can calculate by using the aggregate function total, average, count, minimum, maximum. And also it's very useful for the reporting purpose. When you want a concise information, let's say you want a average to calculate the average or to give the specific number, that time we can use the aggregate function. Sometimes in your project, the situation may come to group the data. So group by department, group by HR department, group by finance department. So that time also we can use for grouping purpose the aggregate function. And along with that, you can use also the having clause. So having means it's similar to the where clause. So guys, for syntax for aggregate function is very easy and very easy to remember as well. Select for count, select count, whatever your column name, you can give the column name, otherwise star from your table name. For sum, select sum and whatever your numeric column which you want for the summation purpose, provide that from your table. For average also it's same, and for minimum maximum also it's same. Let me show you practically. So here guys, I will use the employee table for this video. Here we are having a employee ID which is a primary key here, and these are the employee names and who is the manager of this employee and employee is working in which department. So I have other table department ID, and here what is the salary of this employee. Now let's start with one by one aggregate function. So we'll start with count first. So let me write the query for count. So select count. Let's say you want a record from your table. You want how many records are present in your table. Then your query will be select count star from employee. So here guys, you can see how many records are there, only 6. So let me run this query now. See guys, here I'm getting the 6 count. But here one twist is there. So whenever we are having a null record, that time it will give you the 5 count. So it will skip the null record. Now let me try with that. Select count. Instead of start, I will give the column name. So here let's say I want to count of this department ID, then what I will do, I will give here the department ID from employee. Let me run this query again. So here I am executing all this query. So here, see guys, what is the difference here? So here I am getting the 6 record, but when I am giving the department ID, here I am getting the 5 record. So it will skip the null values always whenever you are using the count. So guys, remember this thing. Let's move on to next aggregate function. So guys, here let's say when you want to calculate the total. So when I am saying total, so it will be always be on your numerical range. Am I right? That time you can use the summation. So let me write the query for sum select. Here I am giving the aggregate function name sum, and or which column I have to use? Salary. Let's say salary. From which table? Employee. Okay. Let me execute this query. See guys, here I am getting the total salary from the employee table. Let me give you one more example guys. So here in employee table, let's say we want a total of this department ID. Then your query will be same, only instead of salary it will be department ID. So here guys you can see 1 plus 1 2 plus 2 4 5 plus 2 7. So your sum will be 7. So here let's say I am making as alias total of department. So your column name will be total of department. Okay. So here you can see the result of 7 here. Now let me do some quick. So here guys, why we are able to apply this sum or salary and department ID? Because if you can see here, the salary is decimal and department ID is also the integer value. So it means both are numerical. So what will happen if I am applying that sum or the varchar? So here employee name is varchar. So guys, it will not work. Let's say here I will give the employee name. Okay, let me copy this query separately. Employee name from employee. Then guys, you will get a error here. Let me execute. Here you can see guys, because operand data type varchar is invalid for sum operator. So always guys remember, so you can apply this sum or other aggregate function over only numerical range. Let me try for an average. So what I will do, I will copy paste the same query, and here instead of sum I will give the average, and here uh, again I will have to give the numerical column name. So salary is my numerical column name here, so it will give me the average of this salary. Okay, let me execute this query. So this is the average of this employee. Let me try for this department ID. Let me copy this query, and here what I will do, I will update with department ID. So we got a count 7, and here how many record? Here 6, right? So here I will get the average as 1, because this department ID is integer. If it is decimal, then it will give me the decimal value. Here the salary is decimal, so that is why it is giving me the decimal value. Now guys, let's say I have to find out the minimum and maximum value from this salary. So what will be the minimum here? 48,000 will be the minimum, and what is the maximum here? 75,000. Okay, so what I will do, I will copy paste this query, and instead of average I will give the minimum salary from employee. So what so here if you can see I'm getting the minimum value 48,000. So and for maximum also, if you can give maximum here, max salary, then you will get a maximum salary. See here, this is 75,000. So minimum will be 48,000 and maximum will be 75,000. So guys, till this point, we have covered how to write a aggregate function with a simple select query. So this function we have covered. Okay. Now we are having one more table here along with the employee. So this is my employee table. Okay, and this is my department table. So here the department ID is a primary key, and here this department ID is a foreign key. So here let me walk you through this. So let's say John Doe Alice Smith department ID is 1. It means John Doe Alice Smith is working in IT department. Same for Eva Brown, because Eva Brown ID is also 1. And when I am saying Bob Johnson department ID is 2 and Charlie White department ID is 2, it means both are working in HR department. Here that 3 is missing. It means we don't have any employee which is working in finance department as of now. Okay. So let's say when interviewer is asking you question to calculate the total spending by department. So here we have 3 employees for department ID 1. Okay. So an interview is asking you to calculate this total spending for these 3 employees. So for IT department, if you can calculate 70 plus 60 plus 50. So 70, 60, 130 plus 50, 180. So 1,80,000. Okay. So what query I will write? So let me write the query here. Select star from employee inner join on department. Okay, I will create a alias here as E and here the D. Okay, and here if you can see department ID is common between both the tables. So on condition I will use the department ID E dot department ID equal to D dot department ID. Okay, so this is the simple join condition. Let me execute this query. Here you can see this is my left table and this is my right table. Okay, now I have to calculate the spending by department. Okay, so I will use the group by here. Group by, let's see if I'm giving trying department ID. So department ID. Okay, then it will giving me the conflict because that department ID is present in both the table. So here I will have to provide the alias. Okay. Now, whenever, so if I'm executing this query, then this will not work because what it is saying, employee ID is invalid in the select list because it is not contained in the aggregate function. So whenever you are giving the group by along with select query, then always remember you should always use the aggregate function. And what are the aggregate function we are having? Count, sum, average, minimum, maximum. So these 5 functions we are having in SQL. So what I will do when I am saying I have to calculate the total salary, then which aggregate function I have to use here? Summation, right? Okay, sum, and what I have to calculate? Total salary. Then here what I will give? Salary. Okay. And here I will give comma, then department ID. Here also I will have to provide the alias. Let me execute this query now. Here, see guys, here department ID 1 and the total spending is 1,80,000. Here you can again create, because it is here it is coming no column name. So I will create as total salary. And for HR department, this is the result. See guys. So if interviewer is asking you such type of question, then you can understand how to write the queries, which aggregate function should I use. Now let's say interviewer asking you for the average salary to calculate the average salary spending by each department. Okay. Then instead of sum, what I will do, I will make it as a average. Okay. And salary instead of total, what I will do, average salary. Now let me execute this query. Okay, see here guys, we're getting this result in the decimal. So 60,000 is the average salary spending for this department ID 1. Also, we are having minimum and maximum aggregate function. So here, if you can see in the department table, here in the employee table. So when I'm giving by group by, let's say this is my group by. So we have these three salaries, 70, 60 and 50. So what will be my minimum salary here? 50,000. And what will be the maximum? 70. Okay. Now let me execute this query for minimum. Here you can see we are getting, okay, here I will make it as minimum salary. Minimum salary. Okay. Okay, now you can see here for department ID 1, I'm getting the 50,000 as a minimum, and same for department ID 2. So in department ID, we are having these two records here, these two and these two. Okay, it means 55 and 48. So 48 will be my minimum and 55 will be my maximum. Okay, so here you can see for minimum, I'm getting 48,000, and let me change it to max. Then see here I'm getting the maximum salary now for each department. Instead of minimum here, what I will write maximum. Actually, this is maximum salary. Okay. So see guys, here we're getting the maximum salary for these departments. So similar way, you can write the any query using the aggregate function. So till this point, guys, we have seen how to use the aggregate function along with the group by. Now, let's say if you have to find out particular department here, then how can you find out this department? How can you filter this query? So for filtration, you can use here having department ID equal to 1. Okay. Here you can give the alias here d dot department ID equal to 1. Okay, let me execute this query. See guys, here we're getting the filtration by using having keyword. So whenever guys remember here, whenever you are going to use the group by, that time you cannot directly use the where query. Okay, so that time you can use the having query. Let me try with where here. So what will happen? See guys, here only it is showing me the error. Let me try to execute. So it will not work. So guys remember, always use a having instead of where in case of group by and in case of aggregate function. In my next video, I will cover this interview question based on the aggregate function, and I will cover some interview tricks and tips. So stick it around. Please check out the interview playlist and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and please do like and share this channel. Thanks for watching this video, and if you are still having any question, please drop me a comment. Don't get stress yourself, be calm and keep practicing.